If you're checking out this video because you're trying to learn everything you can about the Reno machine before you make a purchase, I will have an affiliate link down below. Feel free to click on that. If you do purchase through that link, I do earn a small commission at no cost to you. It's one of the ways that helps support the laser channel. I'll even have a discount code for you to use on your order. That's good for, I believe, virtually everything on the Monport website. Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be checking out the control display on the Reno machine by Monport. There's a lot of cool stuff in here and we're going to be covering some of the coolest features along with some really neat stuff that's layered within the menu system of that display. Let's get started by connecting the computer up, sending a quick program out to the machine, and then rerunning that same program without the computer connected. Let's check that out. I made a quick little graphic, threw in some settings. We're doing a line engraving. Let's send this out to the machine. And when it does that, it's going to pop this up and it's going to want a file name. I'll just simply type in Reno and hit OK. And that's going to send it out to the machine like we'd normally expect. There we go, catch that in the light. There we go, we can see that a bit better. Nice quick engraving. I'm gonna flip this over and we're going to do the other side. The computer is disconnected and let's rerun that same program from the control display. Check this out, all I have to do is press the start button. Now I have the same project reran again with the machine running completely standalone. I'm going to move this up just a little bit to show you that even if you disconnect power off the machine, turn it back on, that program is stored within the controller display and it's going to remember the last program sent out, and I can hit the start button and rerun that same program once again. It automatically popped up and I can hit that green start button once again. And we're rerunning that same Reno project. That has to be one of my favorite and most used features on the control display. It's easy and it saves me a ton of time. And since we're talking about sending files out to the machine, the next thing I'm going to do is save a project file on a U-disk or thumb drive and connect that up to the machine and run that project file without the computer ever being connected up to the Reno machine. I'll get this installed in the computer and let's check out the project that I'll be saving. Keeping things pretty simple, I drew a fun little donut and here's all the settings, same as before. And for this, all I need to do is navigate over to File and Save OUT File. This is going to be the file system that the Reno machine is going to use. And I'm going to save this as Circle 1. And that's all complete. I'm going to take this, plug it into the machine, and get everything loaded. The USB port is underneath this white protective cover. I'm going to put the drive in, and now I can navigate over to Menu, File, U-disk file. It's going to read everything off of there, so I do have a bunch of other files on there. If you use this a lot, I do recommend keeping very few files on there just so that it is easier to navigate. And here is that Circle 1 that I'm looking for. I'm going to write it to memory. Do I want to write it? Yes, I really do. And now I can escape back out of here. Now I can go to File and Circle 1, and there it is. So I do have to navigate around a little bit. I'm going to read that file. And there it loaded in, and from here I can hit the start button and run that file. Pretty cool. That's going to be two really neat ways to run program files on the machine without having a computer connected. Next, we're going to just dive into this control display and go through the menu system and see what everything looks like and where everything is located. Let's check it out. Starting out with the basics before diving into the menu system, the arrow keys are going to move the laser head around as well as navigate around once we're in the menu or the file system. The reset key is going to reset the machine, it's going to reboot it and rehome the laser head. Just below that is the menu system where most of the things are found. And here's the file system. We just saw that in the last example where we can load from a memory file, the U disk. We'll escape back out of that. Just below that is the access move. This is going to display the actual position of the laser head inside of the machine. I can escape out of that menu, come down to user. And here I can set up password protections and return points, and it has all of these jog steps and speeds. I recommend keeping all of these at the factory defaults. Underneath that is another access menu. If we go to X-axis, and here we're going to see more stuff that we probably don't want to change. We're going to have all of the speeds, the corner speeds, the jerks, the max, the limits, all of that fun stuff. We're going to escape out of that. We'll check out network. And here we can do the IP address, which the only way to connect up to this Pro version is through the USB cable or through Wi-Fi. If you have the standard Reno machine, it is only through the USB cable. There's no Wi-Fi connection. We've got 0-point return, manual, and automatic. Once again, this is stuff I recommend we don't mess around with. Range. These settings, honestly, I'm not sure what effect it has for what part of the operation of the machine. So once again, I recommend not messing around with these settings at all. Equipment. Once again, there's a lot of files in here. Again, recommend not changing any of these, but it is good to know where they're located. Laser. Here we're going to have, of course, basically a lot of this stuff is going to be things we don't want to change. This is going to be factory set, the frequency that laser tube is running at. Then we've got the minimum power for firing, the maximum power, and then other settings in here that relate to the power supply, the high voltage power supply that runs the laser tube. Language, we can enter into there and change a whole bunch of different things. And now I've got to go all the way through until we get back to English again. I know I went past it before. And we'll escape out of that. Records. This has some really neat stuff in here. We can have time of power on. This machine has been on for 14 hours, 8 minutes, and when I hit the button, 39 seconds. The actual laser time, 47 minutes, 19 seconds. Total work time. Total process times. How many times have I ran a project on my Reno machine? 75 times. The total X travel. It has traveled 1,426 meters. This is a great spot to monitor the travel distance, so I make sure that I keep those rails properly lubricated. We're going to have the same thing for the Y-axis. That's all for here, and I can exit out of that. That records, that's going to be a great thing to check out if sometime down the road you're checking out one of these Reno machines that's used. Go into that records and you can find out the actual time on the machine, on the laser tube, all of that stuff. So if the seller's saying that the machine was hardly been used, but yet you see 4,000 hours of runtime on the machine, you know that they actually used it quite a bit. Down below that is System. Gives me the version of the software in this controller display. And once again, a whole bunch of stuff we don't want to dig into and start changing. I'll escape out of that. And that brings us to the top menu once again. Next thing we'll check out is the File button. We go in there, and from here, this is all the stored files that have been sent out to this control display. From here, I can go back and recall any of the files that I've sent out. Now, earlier, if you recall, when we sent the file out, there's a default file name, and if I'm just goofing around with the machine, I'll just keep that default file name, because each file after that with the same file name, it is just going to overwrite. So it saves memory space in here, but I believe this controller display has a couple of megabytes of memory. And as we can see, the file sizes are incredibly small. So we can send out, I mean, hundreds of these files out to the controller before we have it filled up. So if I want to go down and rerun the Reno, I can select that. I can read the file. I can also come down to edit the file and go laser parameters. And maybe 15% power for the minimum was too high. I can use this hand button to enter into that. And now the new value, I can set that to, let's say 12%. I'll hit OK. And there, now it's saved that new value, and I'll hit enter once again. Do I want to write that to the file memory? Yes, I do. And now I'm going to click on it to enter into that one more time. And this time I'm going to read the file. And now it's got it loaded in. I can hit the start button, or the next menu option here would be to frame, so I make sure that I've got my work material in the correct spot. Over here, I've got the origin button, and I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I don't use this. I haven't messed around with it, so I don't really have a good explanation of what it's going to do for us. If this is a feature that you've been using on your Reno machine, feel free to leave a comment down below on how you have that set up for your machine. The last button we're going to check out is the pulse button, and it's going to do exactly that. It's going to send out a quick burst of laser power, which is going to be perfect for checking the mirror alignment and also checking the alignment of the laser pulse down to work material and the red dot. Let's check out what that looks like inside the machine. A couple bits of information about the pulse button before I actually hit that button is, first of all, safety. That pulse button is active with the cover closed or also with the cover open. So just be careful with that.
I'm in danger.
The other part of that is when we hit that button, it sends out a just a pulse of that laser energy. The longer that I hold that button, doesn't matter. It's a pre-timed pulse of laser energy. It also is pre-programmed at a fairly low power level, which is what we want. So let's check that out right now. I'll get some safety glasses on, and I'm going to hit the pulse button. And it doesn't look like anything happened, and that's because that red alignment laser is covering up the pulse that I just put down. And we can see that right here. Well, there's the tiny little pulse. Let's try that out again. So I'll send a little pulse out once again. Doesn't look like anything happened. I'm going to move that just a little bit. And in fact, we do see that there is the tiniest of little dots, because on my machine, all the mirrors are perfectly aligned. Well, there's definitely a lot of features and a lot of things that we have access to within that controller display. And as we saw in this video, there's a lot of things that I recommend that you just don't mess with. I've been running my machine with all of the factory defaults, and the machine has done everything that I've asked it to do. Now, if you've got one of these machines and you think that I left out something really important, let me and others know by leaving a comment. And if you're looking at one of these machines and you don't have one yet, let me know what you think, what some of the coolest features are that you found about this controller display. I enjoyed this video and I hope that you did too. Don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, or ring that notification bell. Not only is it a great way to support the channel and help it grow, it's an awesome way to connect video content like this with other great viewers just like you. Well, until we meet again in the next video, learn, create, and share.